congratulations on the new album. It's awesome. It's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thanks.
The album was produced by Hugh Padgham, which is kind of you wouldn't expect you guys to choose him as a producer considering his background and the kind of music that you guys do. What led you to hook up with him?
Well, we wanted to have someone that kind of was outside of the genre, and have someone that wasn't the obvious choice, being that, we kind of have rap and rock, and we didn't want to have Mr. Rap Rock because we wanted to try and, expand our horizons, and we figured, if we made a record that Hugh Padgham, being that he's from he's older school, he's English, we liked his work with XCC and the Police and so forth, and we figured if we could make a record that he liked, that we'd be, stepping forward, because he probably doesn't normally listen to rap rock. So.
Right. And was the experience working with him what you expected? Had you guys prepared differently, knowing that he was coming from a different background?
It's how I expected it to go. Yeah, I thought it worked real good. He's just known as being a real meticulous, just really a perfectionist into getting really good sounds, and he fit the bill perfectly for what we wanted.
Now, during your downtime between these last two records, you guys built a studio also, right? The Hive. What was the impetus behind that? Why build a studio?
Because there's a lot of new technology, and making it so we could record the stuff ourselves on computers and run all the gear ourselves. That way, rather than normally you go into a studio and you say, all right, put this guitar, through this tape machine, and you're just kind of pointing and telling people what to do, and with this we really had a hands-on experience of, getting in there and tweaking the sounds and experimenting a lot, and, not ever worried about, how much studio time we were using up, because it was our own.
Did it create a more of a creative environment to have that kind of freedom for the recording process?
Yeah, we had the time to just, work on things at our own pace. We had this studio for about a year, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So there was no deadline to have anything done by, well, there was an ultimate deadline,
Right.
but nothing, immediate or pressing. So it allowed us to relax.
All right, and I've read that Nick, you've actually been doing some remixing of other people's material, right? Didn't you do a Lenny Kravitz remix for a European release?
Yep, and I did a No Doubt one, and a techno guy named Carl Cox, and to me, it's a lot of fun to really stay up on the newest technology as far as software and so forth, and remixing is a way that I can have a creative outlet, that because I'm kind of a workaholic, and I was going to be working a lot, and there's only so much I can do for 311, so I, in my free time, do some remixes and stuff.
So you see yourself doing more of that in the future, more remixing of other people's material, and
as just as a hobby, as a side.
Is that something you're interested in too, Essay?
Something I'm not really into myself,
Just leave it to Nick. That's good.
We can do that.
Did you guys now sound system? A lot of people have been noting how the sound of this particular album is slightly different from the past 311 albums. Did you set up your goals differently when you went into the studio? Did you have a different approach, or did you know you were going to go into a different direction, or did it just kind of evolve?
Well, one of the goals we had was to get the tempos up to make it more of more high energy songs, so it would be good for the live setting, because on Transistor it was more of a stony, trippy kind of experience, and now we wanted to make a lot of songs that really would be good for rocking the house live, and so that was one of our goals. And now these songs have usually it takes the crowd a while to get into the songs live. Like, we'll be touring for a while before they get a really good response, but this batch has been the highlights of our show right off the bat, because we kind of planned them for that. We put you can after we're on our fifth album, and you can plan a song so it's like in the right tempo to get everyone jumping or whatever. You know what I mean? You start to learn what's going to get people going off.
Yeah, and then one of the songs in particular, which is one of my favorites on the album, is "Life's Not a Race," which has kind of a Latin Santana flavor going. What drove you towards that sound? Because that's something I really haven't heard before.
Tim's been a big Santana fan, and it was a riff that he came up with, and it was something that we just had worked on, and it really just happened pretty smoothly, the whole song, and so it's got that vibe to it already. It's just natural.
Very cool song. Oftentimes this is kind of relates back to more when the Blue album came out. I think a lot of times hardcore fans, somebody that's been following your band for a long time, when a band reaches some success, they start talking about selling out, how the band is sold out or whatever. Have you guys ever encountered any kind of feedback like that from your hardcore long-term fans?
Not a lot. I mean, not that much. I mean, there's always going to be a couple people that are, trying to provoke a reaction, but it definitely hasn't been a problem for us, like, say, maybe like how Metallica gets a lot of flack for cutting their hair and not being so heavy metal anymore or whatever, but people kind of realize that we are making music that doesn't easily like fit into the radio still. I mean, we're taking like dance hall reggae and putting it with rock and slap bass, and those elements are not something that you would normally hear on the radio, so you can't really be a sellout if you're not doing what's selling.
Right. Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think people why do certain fans put that label on a band just because they become successful?
That's just it. I mean, you can get some success, and other people get into you, and that weren't into you maybe your first few albums, and it's just so, it's just
kind of a joke.
Yeah,
really.
It's ridiculous sometimes the way how extreme the fans get. And we really just have good, solid, hardcore fans. I mean, we experience quite the opposite. We just get a solid, fan base happening, and these kids just keep coming out, and it's awesome.
It's very cool. How much does critical acclaim matter to you guys? Do you follow the reviews? Do you read that stuff?
I do, just because I think you should always be open for criticism, and that you can learn things about yourself by listening to bad things that people have to say, even if only a small portion of them are accurate. But you still should hear people's opinions with an open mind. But I just sort of believe that we were a band that came up through the underground and never really been media darlings or critical, critical favorites. So, therefore they kind of feel like they were left out of the whole situation. So but I wouldn't lie and say that we wouldn't like to get great reviews, but we get good reviews sometimes. It's just real mixed,
Right.
They're not all bad, and I don't think anyone has all good, but
No, that's for sure. Now, does reading that kind of stuff though affect you later when you guys go back into the studio and you're writing new material? Does that put some kind of undue pressure on you ever?
I don't really feel that. I mean, just something that you're gonna get those, like you say, you're gonna get those feedbacks regardless of what you put out and how you feel about it. I mean, we felt great about this record, and then sure enough, there's slams left and right. But then there's great things too. People say. Yeah,
very true. Very true. Now I read a review, or not a review, but actually an interview that you guys did recently where I think, Nick, you said that this tour was a mission to spread positivity and be an alternative to the hostile environment in popular music today. What are the elements of popular music that you guys perceive, or that you perceive as hostile?
Well, in the spirit of being positive, I don't want to, point fingers at any specific artists and say, they're no good because they're negative, because then that's a negative thing right there.
Right.
But I just think that in general there's a trend back sort of towards like the values of like 80s hair metal. There's a lot of this show us your tits point of view. There's kind of some anti-female vibes. There's a lot of people writing songs about how their girlfriend screwed them over, and there's just a lot of anger. And to me, I think it's appropriate to express your anger through music, but it's just become so prevalent that it's more of a trend that people realize it's really easy to criticize things and find an audience, because like we like to say, making teenagers depressed is like shooting fish in a barrel. It's just an easy thing that you can naturally find people that relate with if you're bitching about the world. But to me, it takes more of a challenge to find things you like about the world. And our music is positive, but it's not just like mindless positivity. It's about the struggle to stay positive, and it's about the struggle to find reasons to get into life, and it's comes from plenty of trials and tribulations. I just try and represent the whole picture of problems and solutions rather than just bitching about problems.
Right. And now, how much of a lot of fans tend to feel that they know the songwriter by reading the lyrics and by knowing the lyrics of the songs. How much of yourselves of your personal selves do you reveal in your lyrics? Is that?
I've had some people kind of comment that it's a little bit more revealing on this album than others, because there's like a song about insomnia, and there's songs about just mental things that I've struggled with, and breakups and stuff like that. And I definitely think that it's really therapeutic. I think that good lyrics come out of times of emotional turmoil, and I always try and be very, very real and somewhat as revealing as I can stand it. You know what I mean? If something's embarrassing, then that's good.
Right. What about you? So with your raps?
As far as revealing myself, I don't know. I mean, I guess I reveal things that that I imagine, or that I'm into. But as far as on the last record, there were a couple of things that were more personal, but on the new one, I wouldn't say it's, just directly related to my life per se. But
yeah, I agree with that. There was more on Transistor. He had a couple songs that were pretty deep that he wrote all by himself, and then I think he was ready to party on this new album.
That's funny. Now, I again, another article that I picked up last week about the band mentioned that this time around that you had decided not to smoke any pot during this tour, and that you'd made a conscious decision, because I know the band has been kind of a proponent for marijuana. What led you to that, to making that decision, and actually even going public with that? I mean, like even talking about it to the press.
Because as much as we think that you should have the right to smoke pot, I just wouldn't want to. It became that such a like Weed Lovers 311. You know what I mean?
Right.
That it was
stigma.
It was like overshadowing the music.
Right.
And we've never advocated smoking pot. We've just said that you let people do what they want, and that pot's a fairly harmless thing. But I just see that a lot of people are sort of watching what we do and taking influence from what we do, and I thought it was kind of cool for kids to know that you can go out and have a great tour without doing any drugs, and just being honest about what I'm doing. And it was really, I just wanted to have one whole tour of total sobriety, no drinking or anything, just to really just get into the total experience of making music and not have any distractions and just real natural highs. Because if you kind of sensitize yourself to natural highs, then you're going to really feel them good, because it's, the high of making music is subtle,
Right.
and it can't compare to smoking crack or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta sort of bring your whole sensitivity level into it, and but I just plan to go up to New Year's, and then I'll probably smoke a joint here or there, drink beer,
begin
whatever.
the new year the right way. Are you noticing? Are you enjoying the tour more this time around from the other years?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the tour more than ever. And the other guys still smoke weed, but me and S.A. just will hang out and do other things. And
have you noticed a difference in the way in Nick's presence?
Oh,
now?
totally.
Yeah.
Big time.
A little more there. That's very
more
good.
there. More jolly.
Well, other than the I guess the marijuana misconception that the press seems to generate, are there any other misconceptions about 311 that you think are out there that people seem to propagate over and over again?
Well, we still, every now and then, we get people who think 311 means KKK. We get that at our show. We have a representative from the Museum of Tolerance out on tour. He's been to some of the shows, not all of them, but he's here tonight in Vegas, and he gets a lot of kids who still come up thinking that, at shows. We wouldn't know it, because we're not really right there in front and center when kids are coming in, but yeah, he gets some skinheads every now and then, There's at least one a night, he says. So that's a big misconception.
And that's something that started back in your guys' hometown, right? One of the local high schools. Wasn't it your high school too?
It was
your
high school
school,
that I went to.
That's quite ridiculous. Well, it's good. That's quite impressive. You guys got somebody out there cleaning up the bad words. Very good. So what's next in 2000? What's coming up for 311 next year?
We're just having a blast touring, so we plan to keep touring, and right now we're doing clubs. Next time we'll do theaters, and then after that we'll do outdoor amphitheaters. And I love them all. People, some fans prefer to see us in a club setting, but there's so many people that can't get into the shows because kids might want us to come and play in their living room, so we have to make a happy medium of where we'll play places where we still think that big enough to get a lot of people in there, but are small enough so people still get a really, clear view and sounds really good and so forth. I mean, I love playing outside under the stars, but we plan to tour our asses off next summer and keep spreading positivity and just keep doing our thing, and probably not waiting so long until to make the next record, because we took all of '98 off, and our hardcore fans were waiting for us, but there was a lot of sort of more, half-assed fans that kind of went on to other bands, you know what I mean? And we want to keep the momentum going a little more.
So you see yourself, you guys going back into the studio by the end of next year? And put some
since
music
on
together?
this last album we bought all the equipment to make our studio, it's like we can go and record whenever we want, So we're gonna keep it rolling, and I'm hoping to, in fact, have a mobile recording studio to go with me on tour. And
can you write on the road? Do you find it? Do you have the clarity to write on the road with all the?
We haven't that
promotion?
much, but there's no reason why we can't.
Yeah,
so
we
it's
give
kind
it
of a goal.
We've
We have now and then like wrote one song here or there, but I think if we really sort of put our minds to it, we could really get a lot of an album done before we even get down to time off.